Welcome to the channel, guys. So in this video I'm going to discuss the likes and the dislikes for the Cayman R. So what do I like about it, what don't I quite like about it? So I'm going to go into some detail. It's had a nice wash today, hence it looks amazing, and the sun's out, which is a rare occurrence so far this year in the UK. So let's get on with it. So one of the best things about the Cayman R, and it's one of the very best cars totally for this, it's just the sensation of feel. And what I mean by that is this car gives feel everywhere. So you've got hydraulic steering, so you're getting beautiful feel through the steering wheel. You know exactly what the front end of the car is doing. You're never guessing, do I have grip, don't have grip, whether it's a 0 degrees cold wet day or a nice warm dry day. The feeling through the steering is just amazing. It's up there with Lotus, it's up there with like a Caterham. It's really one of the best hydraulic racks in the business. One of the other things I really like about the Cayman R is the size of it. The Cayman R is quite a small car. We'll have a walk around it now. So it's quite a small sized car. It easily fits on. Oh, you'll have to excuse the BMW looking like it's had a few too many whiskies in the back there. I'm changing the exhaust manifold, hence why it's quite high on one side. It's jacked up because I've still not finished that job yet. But anyway, back to the Cayman R. So yeah, the size of the car. It's a really nice, well-sized car. Any UK road, any British B road, it's absolutely great fun. And that you're never worried about, am I going to fit down this narrow country road? It's just a really easy car and a really fun car to navigate. One of the other great things about this car is being a flat six engine is the noise that comes out of the back of the car. So it's a flat six, 3.4 litre, naturally aspirated, producing around 330 horsepower. The sound in the cabin under acceleration is really, really nice. It makes a really fantastic sound in the cabin. And that the sound from outside of the car is definitely a nice sounding car, but it's pretty quiet. It's a non-sports exhaust on this one, so it's the completely standard exhaust that Porsche offered on the car, and it's pretty quiet. The sports exhaust option that Porsche offered is reasonably louder again, but as it is, it sounds fine on the outside. I mean, it certainly sounds better than modern cars by a million miles. But obviously, it doesn't sound anywhere near as good as the Audi R8. Because obviously that's a V8 and it has got a valved exhaust on it. One of the other really nice things about the Cayman R, 330 horsepower maybe doesn't sound a lot nowadays. But actually the performance of this car, now it's got the Sports Chrono retrofit all done. So now we actually have Sports Mode and Sports Plus Mode. This car still does 0 to 60 in 4.2 seconds. And we'll get on to a top speed of about 170 mile an hour. So it's not a slow car, not by any figment of the imagination. It's actually all the performance you'd ever need on a British B road, because it's not crazy fast, so you can enjoy the performance that the car has on offer. You know, you can rev it through the gears and you're not going to be like doing double the speed limit. It's a very fun, a very engaging car. One of the other real plus points about the Cayman R is the storage. This car just has incredible storage. So here's the cabin. So this is a really nice spec car. So it's got the carbon bucket seats. It's got the green painting on the inside. This car has a more modernised infotainment system with Apple CarPlay. But I was talking storage, so you've got quite a large glove box. You've got a small little area there to put keys and stuff in. You've got a very small area there. You've got this area here. Again, small area. Then if I reach back here, if you look in that corner there, there's one of those on either side, and that's quite a deep storage bin on either side. You then have also got the rear cargo net. You can get stuff in there. But then its real party piece is the fact that you don't have one boot, but you have two boots. And those boots are quite large. So going away in this car, doing the shopping in this car, never an issue. So I'll show you the rear boot first. Car has been washed, so it might be a bit some drips coming down. So you've got this quite sizable boot here. You can easily get a carry-on in there, or 2 large, maybe 3 soft bags. Again, you could get another one or another 2 underneath the netting there if you really want to, load up for a European trip. So I just back up. So you've got that large opening there. And then there's also one in the front as well, just like a 911. And probably exactly the same as a 911. As I excuse the snow foam, car has been washed today. Here you've got a large, basically, again, you'll get at least 2 carry-ons in the front there, maybe 3, or many soft bags. So let me just close that. So yeah, the storage of the Cayman R is really, really impressive. For a 2-seater sports car, this car has an awful lot of storage. Economy as well. Now, economy fits in both likes and dislikes. The like side is, if you're doing a motorway journey and you're travelling the motorway and you are staying within the speed limit, so 70 miles an hour, you will just about see 40 miles to the gallon from the Cayman R on a long cruise on the motorway, which for a 3.4 litre flat 6 engine producing 330 horsepower is pretty good. Obviously, the reason why this car is reasonably economical and why it has so much performance for what is only a 330 horsepower car is it only weighs about 1,350 kilos. So compared to modern cars, it's easily probably half a ton lighter than a modern sports car. Look at a BMW M4, M3. They're like now 1,700 to 1,800 kilos. New M5 is 2.7 ton. So essentially an M5 is double the weight of a Cayman R on the new M5. So, and weight, obviously, the lighter a car, the more fun it is to drive. It handles better. Everything wears out less. Everything's just better with less weight. And that it's, if you're a human being and you put a massive rucksack on your back full of bricks, all of a sudden you can't run as fast, you can't change direction as fast. It's the same philosophy with cars. You get the weight down, they handle better, everything is cheaper to run. But that's not such one of my good points, though. Normally, one of these cars, it would probably be in the positive, would be the cost to run it. The reason it's not one of my good points on the Cayman R is because, as you will see from other videos on the channel, we had a front suspension issue, so I've changed all of the front suspension out, so shock absorbers, springs, top mounts, and lots of the other components. That was all done. The tyres were in good condition, but were more than 6 years old, so I changed the tyres as well. It's got Continental Sport 7 Sport Contact tyres on now. They are absolutely incredible. First time I've had a tyre on a car that outperforms the legendary Michelin PS4S. So yeah, the Conti Sport 7 is a better tyre. But getting on to one of the other things I really like about the Cayman R is it is an event to drive. This is the kind of car that, even though it can do the daily duties just fine, Bryony does drive this car every day to and from work, but it's also an event. If you take this car out, you take it down your favourite country road, and it is an absolute event to drive. It just is a stunning car to drive. So yeah, mainly the likes are the sensations of feel, hydraulic rack, lightweight, lots of sensations coming through the steering, coming through your butt dyno, whatever you want to call it. The seat of the pants feel is off the scale in the Cayman R. It's small, so it's easy to navigate. The noise is pretty good, especially in the cabin you're basically sharing the internal cabin with the engine. The performance is also pretty good. 0 to 100 mile an hour is about 10 and a half seconds. And that storage is amazing. It's an event to drive, and the handling is its real, I think, forte. The handling is probably you struggle to actually get a car that handles better than a Cayman. They're light, they're mid-engine, they're rear-wheel drive. They're ticking every box of an amazing handling car, and there's nothing unamazing about the way the Cayman handles. You can send it sideways in control with great confidence, or you can drive it flat out, neat and tidy with great confidence and in all weather conditions. The handling and the feel is amazing. So now let's get on to more of the dislikes. So I'm going to sit back down. So you'll just have to admire the view, which is, I think, is a pretty good view, the Cayman and the Audi R8. Probably its biggest dislike for me is the ride is pretty harsh. Being a Cayman R, it's got obviously the slightly different dampers and the firmer springs. So it is a harsher ride. There are certain sections of road is pretty like, oh God, I can't wait to get off this section of road. Excuse me. Other sections of roads, like smooth A roads, it's brilliant. But yeah, it's definitely on the harsher side. It's harsher than a regular Cayman S, obviously because it's an R, and it's a harsher ride than basically all the other cars I own. You know, the Audi R8 is a much softer ride. The McLaren 600 LT is softer, and the old BMW is also a lot softer. Even the Alpine A110S was less harsh than the Cayman R. So yeah, harsh is definitely one of its negatives. The other negative is what I also mentioned as a positive, which is the fuel economy. So yeah, when you're on a long run and you're doing 70 miles an hour or less, you'll get 40 miles to the gallon. However, on daily driving, which we don't, our daily driving does not consist of any motorway journeys. It's all city driving and the odd dual carriageway and maybe B-road blast. You're lucky to see 20 miles to the gallon on the daily drive. If I drive it, I average about 18 and a half. If Bryony drives it, she averages about 22. And of course, on a fun country road blast out, you'd probably be looking at 15 to 18. So yeah, that's definitely not one of its strongest points. For comparison, the A110S was a lot more economical. But we don't buy these cars worrying about fuel economy, so it's really not a concern. One of the other dislikes is, even though the Porsche build quality throughout the car is pretty amazing, you know, the internal cabin, I mean, let's go back to the interior. The interior is a really nice place to be. In fact, I would say that's definitely a positive on this car, is just how nice that interior is. You know, this isn't one of the highest spec, it hasn't got the extended leather, but even still, everything is solid inside. Everything, all the touch points are nice. We've just had the steering wheel done recently by a gentleman called Andy and crew who used to work for Bentley. He's just retrimmed the steering wheel, and we went with the Peridot top marker as well. Absolutely loved that. Incredible. So yeah, the interior is a really great place, but because it's such a firm, harsh car, and because of the rear hatch design of the Cayman, now I've tweaked it a bit, but you do get some like rattles and stuff, you know, coming from the car, mainly from this rear hatch area. There is a ballast weight underneath there, which I've not messed with yet, but some owners report that either removing that totally or, you know, going in there and messing with it, you can get rid of the so-called rattles. And yeah, another negative, even though the car sounds good, you know, I alluded to, it would be nice if it was a bit more louder, because even though now we have the sports chrono for the gearbox, sometimes if you're driving the car quite, you know, gently, or just city driving when you're doing downshifts, you don't really hear it doing the downshifts. Even if you're in sports plus mode, you don't really hear it. So it would be nice if it made a bit more noise, but obviously it's easily fixed. The sports exhaust option of the car would probably solve that, or you could always put an aftermarket exhaust on the car. Would definitely solve the lack of noise. And of course, you know, it's been quite an expensive car with its issues that it's had. And of course, you know, I've put tyres on it, I've done front suspension, we've had the wheel done. And of course, we've had the Sports Chrono retrofit, which you will see there, we now have 2 sports buttons. And I have to say, yes, it's nearly £1,000, but it's easily the best money I've spent on a car, pretty much. Why Porsche did not advise customers and recommend their customers that it was an absolute must on a PDK equipped car, I do not know, because it transforms the way a PDK car drives. What the Sports Chrono does, you press the sports button, you get crisper throttle response, the traction control will allow more slip, and if you're in auto, it'll hold on to the revs a little bit longer. So it's not trying to get into 7th gear as quickly as possible. And if you're in manual, the car just feels a little bit more crisper, and it's just more fun to drive. But then my favourite feature is the Sports Plus button. You hit the Sports Plus button, and it transforms the car again. Now, for me, in Sports Plus mode, you should only drive the car in manual mode on the paddles. But basically, in this mode, now when you change up on the paddles, whereas in sports mode or not sports mode, the gear shift is seamless. So you don't actually, not actually aware that it's changed gear. And by that I mean by like sense of noise or sense of sensation from the car. In sports or normal, it's totally seamless. And for me, I find that boring. But in Sports Plus mode, when you pull the upshift, you get a slight cut, like a ignition cut. So you know you've changed gear, but if you're also flat on the throttle, you get a real nice inertia push. So like a gentle jolt in the back. So of that sensation of selecting the next gear. And I love that. It just adds another realm of reality to the Cayman R. And that's so Sports Plus, and that or Sports Plus Chrono or Sports Chrono, which is what the official option was from the factory, is a must on a PDK car. Don't let it put you off because, as I say, we've retrofitted sports mode to this car. Nearly £1,000 at a specialist. It's about £1,200 from a dealer. It wasn't the easiest because these cars are now more than 10 years old. A lot of places hadn't done it for a long time or basically had never done it because the members of staff from 10 years ago were no longer at the company. So yeah, it was a little difficult getting it done, but Mike at Sports and Classic had my back. He sorted it out and he got it done, and the car is transformed. So I'm just going to check. I have written some notes. So yeah, so just to summarise really quickly, what do I like about the Cayman R? I love the feel. I love the small size. The noise is great. The performance is more than adequate for the British B Road. Fuel economy is good on a run. Amazing storage. You could easily go to Europe in this car with no troubles at all. You've got 2 big boots, etc., etc. It is an event to drive, especially on the right kind of road. The handling is its absolute forte. Handling is where this car truly shines. You know, the R8 is also a good handling car, but it's more about grip, whereas the Cayman handles in another, it just really is an amazing, exactly the same as a Boxster Spider. It's just the roofed version, which technically I guess maybe makes it a bit more rigid and a bit better, but having owned both now, a Boxster 987 Spider and now the Cayman R 987 Cayman, they are both equally amazing cars. And to summarise my dislikes, so they are very minor, is the harshness of the ride. The fuel economy is not so great when you're having fun. There are some rattles due to that rear hatch design that are not present in a Spider. Unless you have the roof up, then the roof does rattle a lot. It's been expensive due to the suspension failure, having to fit new tyres and do the Sports Chrono. But I obviously went into this pretty wide, it's open. And the other slight negative is, yes, it probably would be quite nice if it made a bit more noise. But I typically don't really want to mess with, I did just maybe think about doing the headers and the cats, but now thinking about it, I don't really want to take it away from its factory stock setup. It's a great driver and I just don't want to risk having engine lights or it sounding not so nice, so we're going to leave it as it is. But I just want to say, as always, thanks for tuning into the channel. Do give me a like if you've enjoyed this video. Do drop in the comments if you've got any questions about any of the cars. And as always, please subscribe and thank you for watching.